Hi, it's me, Camila Rose, and welcome to our new series where we talk about all things tarot, astrology, and where we have a little bit of tea while we do so. This is Sagittarius season. Welcome, Sagittarius season. We love this time of year because this is all about the holidays in the Western world. A time where we're spending more time with family, with friends, where we're in the spirit of giving and celebration, where we're heading into and remembering the light as we move towards Capricorn season and towards the winter solstice. So we're at the last little bit of the fall season. Now, when we're in this time, this is all about mutable fire. Mutable fire is about change and transformation. So we've gone through cardinal air, starting off fall equinox in Libra. And so we've tried to find that balance between the light and the night, between the conscious and the unconscious, and with our ego and our shadow. And then we have moving into Scorpio season, which is all about fixed water. It's diving in really deep, getting into those trenches of our unconscious, of those shadows, of those parts of ourselves that we often push down so that we don't have to deal with them on a regular basis. And then as we get done with that, we head on back up. We start leaning more towards the light. And that's that Sagittarius energy. Sagittarius is associated with the archer. It is associated with the animal of the horse. And so it is this powerful movement. And when we think about Sagittarius, we can think about this idea of fire that changes us. Think of the fire that transforms food from a raw substance to a cooked substance. It is this alchemical energy that comes within us. And it can be that idea of going from the phoenix who has died in the underworld, in the unconscious during Sagittarius season, and is now this new bursting flame bird of light and power. Card associated with Sagittarius is Temperance. So the Temperance card is all about balance. Here we have an angel, and this angel has two cups in their hands, and they're pouring from one cup to the other cup. I like the Temperance card, and I often think about tempering water. So if you take something that is really hot water, and then you take a cooler water, you want to warm that cooler water up or cool the hotter water down. You're going to take them and you're going to pour them together. And so when you do that, it tempers that water. We can also think of like tempered glass. It changes the way that it functions. Tempered glass is going to be a little bit stronger, a little bit better able to handle heat or sudden changes in temperature than normal glass would. In the tempered water, it's going to be, if we're consuming it, more comfortable for us to be able to have. So when we think about this temperance, we're looking at this rebalancing of our energies. And so temperance, when we think about the card, we might look at a comparable card of justice, because we're again looking at this idea of balance. Now, justice, we talked about Libra being at the start of the fall equinox. Justice is going to be external. It's really going to be outside of ourselves. It's that cause and effect. It's us taking action in the world and having some type of outcome or response to that action. And then that being of equal matter or impact as what we have done. Then we have that Scorpio energy, and then we get to Temperance. And in Temperance, it's the internal balancing. Here we have this individual who they're standing. You can see a sun in the background. You can see a path leading towards them. You can see them dipping their toe into the water. And so with them dipping the toe into the water, this could perhaps be the water that's flowing from behind the high priestess. From the moon card, we see this water as it moves around us. And so that's that unconscious energy. When we see water in tarot, it's often our unconscious. It's often perhaps the thought or the flow of consciousness and where it's going. And here we're just dipping in a toe, just a little bit here. Because we're really looking at, we've done all this really deep work when we were in the death card. And so there's a river that's flowing through death and the dry land around it because it's drought. It's, in the depths where there's not necessarily a lot of growth in the same way as what we see happen on land or in the conscious world. And so this water now is flowing, and we're seeing this 14, the Temperance card, where we have this back and forth, this what needs to happen internally for us to find a sense of balance. And we see this play out a bit with that Sagittarius energy, as Sagittarius is the archer, and the archer, when you're doing archery, you have to hold the bow and then you have to pull the arrow back, and you have to build this tension between the bow and the arrow and the string and your target of where you're sending that arrow. And that tension is really what you're looking at to balance out the pull, balance out the steadiness of the hand, the distance from the object, measuring and calculating the external factors such as the wind and things of that nature, so that you can actually achieve your goal. Sagittarius is a card that is an energy that's all about philosophy, education. It's ruled by Jupiter. And the Jupiter card we can think of as Wheel of Fortune, although there are other cards associated with Jupiter in the tarot deck. And in the Wheel of Fortune, we have this wheel that's turning, and it's surrounded by these 4 symbols. We have an angel with a book open. We have a eagle with claws. We have a bull that has horns on it. And so what we see here are examples of all the fixed signs. Now remember, we just left a fixed sign with Scorpio season as we head into Sagittarius season. The fixed signs are Taurus, which is ruled by Venus and is associated with the bull. We then have Leo, which is the lion, associated with the sun. We have then Scorpio, which is fixed water, associated with the eagle. And then we finally have Aquarius, which is the star card, and it's associated with this idea of this higher thought, higher elevated sense of exploring and understanding ourselves and our role in the world. And that's the angel that's here in this card. And so here we can think of it perhaps in the Kabbalah sense of this turning of the wheel of time, of energy. And so we have this idea of fate. There's a devil on this version. There's a devil figure on there. There's a Sphinx at the top with a sword in their hand. There are symbols that are perhaps spelling Torah, tarot, that go around the wheel, and the wheel turns. There's a snake, wisdom, flowing down from the wheel. So there's all these symbols associated with the Wheel of Fortune that when we think of it in tarot, we're thinking that fortune is on our side. The wheel is turning in our favor, that what goes up must come down. Again, another semblance of this idea of temperance. Things must balance themselves out. And if you were to get it in reverse, it would be that perhaps luck is not on your side. Perhaps it is time for you to be more cautious. But the Wheel of Fortune turns us into our next phase. It shifts us from the energy of the 9 as the Hermit to perhaps the 11, which is either going to be the Strength card or the Justice card. And remember, we just were talking about justice and balance when we were speaking about Temperance and Libra. So all of these things can kind of tie together. We have 2 other cards I want to talk about when talking about this Sagittarius energy. We have the 2 of Wands, which is all about expansion and exploration. That is really a good connection for Sagittarius season. When we're thinking about Sagittarius, this is the explorer. This is the person who they learn through experience. They know that if they stay in their bubble, in their culture, in the space where they have grown up and have lived, they will not be able to know all that they can know. And as they're building on their faith and their philosophy, why do we exist? What is life? What is our purpose? Why are we here? What am I meant to be doing? They really want to understand that from a broad perspective. And so they're looking for different ways to understand life. And they know that through travel, through exploration, through education, that they can expand their minds and expand their experience and learn more about themselves and about the world around them. The 2 of Wands is all about exploration. It is all about trying to decide which path you're going to take forward. There's many directions that you can go, and you have the world in the palm of your hand, and you're trying to figure out, what do I want to do? So that takes us back to the idea of the target for the arrow and the bow and the archer. The archer needs to know where they're aiming towards. What is it that they're working on? For Sagittarius, this gets into some of the shadow of that Sagittarius energy, because sometimes Sagittarius can just seem like they're just wandering around, getting into whatever catches their eye, and they have no aim, they have no direction. And that's one of the things they really have to allow themselves to find a sense of comfort with and of grounding with. And when we think of that mutable fire, fire has to have something to burn. And when it doesn't have anything to burn, we often turn that fire, that energy inwards towards ourselves, or we externalize it and we press it out towards others. And so as Sagittarius is going through this, what am I doing? Where am I going? They must find that direction. And that direction needs to be their guiding light. And that's some of the work that they can find through their oppositional sign of Gemini, ruled by Mercury. They can look at what draws their interest, what catches their attention, and they can aim towards that goal. Lastly, we have the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is all about that energy of passion. It's messages. It's quick. It's energetic. It is let's go, 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 go. No hesitancy, but it's often something that can burn out quickly and may not be very well thought out. So again, we're going back to this idea of using that oppositional energy of Gemini to try to find some clarity. We're allowing ourselves to really lean into the idea of adventure, but not letting us drag us around so that we never actually settle down. We never actually find what we're looking for. We never actually find the thing that drives us and gives us that passion to begin to move forward and to transform, that gives us that why. And that's really what we're supposed to do with this really juicy Sagittarius energy, is allow ourselves to lean into the tension, find the balance internally, allow luck to turn on our side and help us to expand and to grow, and to find that way to keep that fire burning in a way that it transforms us so that we're ready to head into Capricorn season, cardinal earth, and figure out what it is that we're starting on next. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you for our next video next month. If you'd like your personal reading, go ahead and check out www.theblissinstitute.org. I'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.